Alright, what's going on, guys? Back down with another video today. So, I haven't done a video in a while. As a matter of fact, I haven't been on social media as much in a little while now. And I'm going to talk more about that on my next video. And perhaps my last video. At least for the time being. I'll explain more about that. You know, what's been going on when it comes to that. But there's something I wanted to get off my chest before I leave. And it's not the fact that Logan Paul has signed with the company, because I really don't care, honestly. You know, if this was just news, I wouldn't even address it anyway. I haven't been watching the shows. I haven't been interested in watching Raw or SmackDown for a long time. You know, Robert and, JL and a few other people have, in the Asylum shows, we've done reviews, and, which they'll cover, certain things that have happened on the shows. I have no interest whatsoever. So when it comes to this whole Logan Paul signing with the company, I honestly don't care. But there's something that Alexander, the world champion in MLW, had to say, because he took a few disses at certain people. And it just goes back to this whole mentality that not only some of these wrestlers have, but some of these fans have. Because supposedly Alexander spoke some truth. Which I don't see what the truth is. But let's get into what he said. Logan Paul in better shape. You're talking ring-wise or, physically or whatnot? Because majority of wrestlers, no matter what company, they're all in pretty good shape. So, if you're going to compare Logan Paul's ring shape compared to the others, I don't think so. I'm assuming you're talking about physique. Better looking, with more charisma than indie guys. I mean, I think Logan Paul's overrated. But, and a huge following. Gets signed. Which, I'll give him that. He has a following. I'll give him that. Same could be said for his brother. Although I think Jake Paul more as a fucking douchebag. But, bitter, angry indie dudes. I need to do more flips, then they'll notice me, then they'll see my passion, I just know it. So let me get this straight. So anybody who has an issue, any wrestler that has an issue with Logan Paul being signed to the company, are just a bunch of vanilla midgets. Right, that's such great logic. So anybody who criticizes Logan Paul, and this is the thing that just irks me. I don't get these people's mentality, right? They always find a way. They always find a scapegoat. They always find a way to minimize criticism when it comes to certain things in wrestling, right? So, for example, WWE does something in a negative light. Something that, some fans or most fans would give them criticism for. And where some of these people say, oh, you're just AEW fans. So anybody who doesn't watch AEW, anybody who just watches WWE, if they were to criticize their AEW fans, I believe Seth Rollins even did the same thing. Oh, you criticize, WWE 2K20. I believe it was 2K20. Oh, you criticize 2K20. They're just a bunch of AEW marks. Like, how? What kind of ass backward logic is that? Although majority of WWE fans are buying the game and are criticizing the game for its terrible not graphics, but its terrible gameplay, the glitches, and all this other stuff. Yeah, I guess it's just AEW fans complaining, right? And now we got this is probably one of the dumbest things I've heard from these people. That if you criticize Logan Paul, you're either a vanilla midget or a vanilla midget fan, or you're an indie fan. If you have an issue with Logan Paul being something to come, yeah, not because he's not a pro wrestler who is just coming from YouTube and from Disney and just being signed to a contract, just like the Pauls did with fucking boxing. They just come in to be a part of the business, right? You know, they just come in, you know, and which is so funny. Like, these people they'll talk about wrestlers criticizing Logan Paul specifically, because Jake Paul hasn't joined any wrestling really. I mean, he's probably been in the crowd. But I like how these people they'll criticize wrestlers for criticizing Logan Paul getting a shot. But so by that logic, you're gonna talk shit about boxers or MMA fighters, and I'll even say this. I understand, you know, CM Punk. You know, CM Punk was signed to the UFC. Got in a couple of fights without ever having actual training. And the thing is, I'm a Punk fan, and I'll even say I understand why UFC fighters would have a problem with CM Punk just coming in out the woodwork, getting a shot. I understand. And I'm a Punk fan, and I understand why certain fighters would have an issue with that. You know? And same with boxers. You know, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they're just coming in out the woodwork. So are you going to say the same thing about boxers, about MMA? Oh yeah, they're just bitter because, you know, they worked their ass off all their life, and this motherfucker just coming in. Oh yeah, they're just an angry. Makes no sense. So if you're gonna hold wrestlers and wrestling fans accountable for Logan Paul being signed to a contract, then you could say the same thing for boxers and UFC fighters. And I know the but at least that's real. That's not a response. That's not a response, because these Paul motherfuckers, the Pauls, they've done a couple of boxing, they've done a couple of fights outside of wrestling, and they got criticized too. Not only by boxing fans, not only by boxers, not only by MMA fans, MMA fighters. They got the same criticism when they did that shit. The same criticism as Logan Paul is getting now, being in the WWE. Same criticism, except it's a different style of fighting, stage fighting. But I guess they're just a bunch of midgets, though. I guess they're just a bunch of bitter, small, midget motherfuckers, you know. Yeah, so I guess if Logan Paul was the stature of Darby Allin or Rey Mysterio or Pac, you know, or Austin Aries, oh yeah, they wouldn't have as big of a problem. Oh yeah, totally. Not because he's not a pro wrestler that's just coming in. Oh, but if he was small, if he was the same size as us, we wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, what? That makes no sense at all. It makes absolutely so. Oh yeah, you have a problem with Logan Paul being signed to the company. You're an indie fan. Like, what the fuck? Like, these people will find any way to minimize criticism, you know, not only with WWE, but, you know, certain things when it comes to pro wrestling. I guarantee you, if Logan Paul was signed to AEW, they would get the same criticism. If he was signed to Impact Wrestling, he would get the same criticism. But I guess because I'm an AEW fan, you know, my opinion don't count, or whoever the fuck, like, these people's mindset, like, they'll find anything. If you complain about what WWE's doing, yeah, you're just an AEW fanboy. Oh yeah, it's totally not because they're making a stupid decision to do whatever they're doing, you know, where some fans think are stupid coming from WWE. Oh yeah, it's just AEW fans, you know. WWE 2K20, the game sucked. Oh, it's just AEW fans criticizing the game. Fucking dumbass Seth Rollins. The fact that Seth Rollins he came out and said that shit, it still boggles me to this day. Right? It was just AEW fans criticizing the game. Like, what the fuck, man? But my last point, though, huge following. Okay, he has a huge following. So in other words, he's the next Austin. He's the next Rock. He's the next Hogan. He's the next big draw. So the boom period, just like they said with Roman Reigns, the boom period is gonna come because Logan Paul has signed with the company. I don't see that happening. You know, it's funny, like some of these wrestlers, well, some fans, you know, they've criticized, you know, for, you know, WWE not having big viewership, right? You know, oh, because, you know, this guy's world champion and that guy's world champion, you know, because, you know, Daniel Bryan was the world champion and Kofi Kingston was the world champion, you know, AJ was world champion, you know, but, you know, and Roman Reigns, the tribal chief stuff, you know, is a hell of an upgrade to what he was doing before with the bland babyface shit that he was doing. Him being a heel, like it's like I could feel that that's actually him, which, you know, is intriguing. You know, like when Roman Reigns cuts a promo with the whole tribal chief, you know, acknowledge me, yada yada yada. I could see that's how he truly feels. Like, and that's been one of the criticisms for long. Like, be himself. You know, the whole suffer and succotash stuff. You know, it was not working. It was not working for him. It wasn't organic. But now it is, and now people love Roman Reigns. But he's not Austin. He's not Rock. You know, some of you same people that criticize other people being world champions has Roman Reigns has he brought back the old school fans back to WWE? I haven't seen it. You know, Roman Reigns, you know, he's held on to the belt for what, 2 years? Where's the boom period? Where's all the old school hardcore, or I won't say hardcore, but all the casual fans that used to watch pro wrestling back in the day? Where are they? You know? And nothing against Roman, but where are they? You know, maybe a few more viewers, maybe a couple, maybe 1 million more viewers. Okay, but is it gonna bring more and more and more and more people back to watch pro wrestling? I don't think so. And Logan Paul sure as hell, in my opinion, I don't think it's gonna happen. If it does, hey, that was proven wrong. But until then, I don't see that happening. So I guess by these people's logic, Logan Paul's the next mainstream star that's gonna, I mean, he's got some status, I'll give him that, but he ain't gonna be the next Hogan. You know, like these people making him out to be like, oh yeah, he's gonna be the next guy to be the one to bring WWE back to its peak. No, he's not. No, the fuck he's not. You know, it's not happening. I mean, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But in my opinion, of course, I don't think it's happening. So yeah, that's pretty much what I gotta say about that. You know, just to get this off my chest. My next video will be coming soon, but I just wanted to give my take on that because this whole, you know, anybody who criticizes, you know, WWE or anything else, like, oh, they just try to minimize it. Oh, they're just indie fans. They're just AEW fans. You know, any wrestler who criticizes Logan Paul, they're angry because they're small and all this dumb shit that these motherfuckers would be saying. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. See you guys later.